be read by title unless there's a request for reading a bill at length. Committee amendments will not be read unless requested, as they are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and not read unless requested. Bills will be laid over upon the motion of the majority leader. And the coat rule is relaxed. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1068.
House Bill 1068 by Representative McKinley, concerning the administration of a nonprofit cemetery corporation by persons who own the right to bury a deceased person within the cemetery.
Oh, Representative McKinley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1068 on second reading as amended.
Please proceed.
There's been quite a few problems with some of the cemeteries. This pertains to a not-for-profit cemetery, and it simply opens the records up to a property owner in that cemetery. It says if you have property in that cemetery, you have a right to see the minutes of the board meetings, you have a right to see the financial, and you have a right to come and ask questions about why your property is being treated the way it is.
Is there any further discussion of House Bill 1068? Representative Gardner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this bill has been on the calendar for a little while. It is an example of a bill that came into local government with very little opposition, but I had some question about it at the time. And the question about it at the time was whether or not the provisions of this bill were actually covered in other statutes. There's clearly a problem. And Representative McKinley, I thank you for bringing the bill and for sort of shining the light on this problem of nonprofit cemetery associations, which are apparently not being accountable to their members, but they are nevertheless associations under Unincorporated Associations Act, or they're nonprofit corporations, and there seem to be issues and a lot of things that they're done that are covered elsewhere. So members, I have serious concerns about whether we need to legislate one more time or not. And for that reason, as chair of the House Judiciary Committee, because of the legal issues, I'm going to ask that this bill be moved. Okay, I'm told that maybe this bill would be better off if it just dies. Representative Kagan and I would not help it by having it heard in judiciary, but I appreciate what is a serious issue, and I want to assist Representative McKinley in dealing with this issue, but I think we have the tools already in law to do so, and so I ask for no vote.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in support of this bill. The previous conversation coming on now whether we should bury this bill or not, I don't think that's the ideal situation. There are some statutes out there that do address this, but they're not being enforced. Members, what this is about, we want to enforce the stuff that's out there, and that's the reason this bill come forward. The two cemeteries they discussed during the committee meeting basically were the Roseland Cemetery in Pueblo and the cemetery in Trinidad. I've got my great-grandparents and my grandparents and my grandfather's second wife in Roseland, and I didn't go down and check the cemetery. I think because there's a perpetual fund down there that takes care of it, that I shouldn't have to go down and look at it every year. I look at the ones here in the Denver area, but I don't go to Pueblo. And my aides got family in Trinidad. They went to a funeral there a couple of weeks ago, and the markers for some babies that were buried there are completely gone. They can't get their records. They can't find them. The problem isn't the statute don't redress it now. The problem is we are not enforcing the statutes the way they're written. Members, I rise in support of this bill.
Representative Labuda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I rise in support of this bill, and I agree with everything that Representative Soper said. In committee, everybody who testified that they had contacted the Attorney General's office, and this has been going on for as much as 15 years, and the current laws apparently are not enforceable because the Attorney General's office has not done anything. And I think you all read the articles in the Denver Post that pointed out the big problems in these cemeteries. This is a simple bill that will just allow a plot owner or a member of the family of the plot owner to be on the board so that the people having property interests in the cemetery can have access to the books to find out what's going on and why there are gophers all over the place and why all of the headstones are knocked down. I strongly urge support of this bill.
Representative Gardner. Representative Representative Gardner.
Thank you, members. And members, I don't want you to be confused about what the argument that I'm making, or perhaps, and I don't want to characterize the argument of my colleagues that are in favor of the bill, but what I'm hearing a lot of is there's a problem, and I agree. I agree there's a serious problem, and as I sat in local government and listened to the testimony, I asked myself over and over, aren't there tools already in the law in Colorado for nonprofit corporations, unincorporated associations to deal with this issue? And there are. And so what the proponents are saying is, let's pass one more law and then it'll be okay. I think it's a false hope for those who are dealing with this issue. It's very real. The cemetery associations have problems. They have problems like a lot of nonprofits, and they may be particularly prone because there are people who have a loved one buried in the cemetery. They may be a member of that association, but they're not in the state. They come, they go. They show up and they find that the cemetery is in terrible shape, and that maybe somebody's been paying a lot of money to keep it up, that they're not keeping it up. You know, frankly, members, I can propose a bunch of laws, and maybe with Representative Kagan's help, we could all agree and we could pass a bunch of laws. We're not going to make everything okay. We already have the laws in place, and they need to be used. And again, I commend those legislators, particularly Representative McKinley, who are shining a light on this and asking the Attorney General to do something about it. That is the proper role, and we ought to insist. That is our role as legislators, to insist that the executive branch do what needs to be done on particular issues. And there are 1,000 issues out there, so one of the things that we can do as legislators is not simply pass another law, but ask for the executive branch to act in those cases where there needs to be action. I think that's what needs to happen here, not another law. So as you listen to the arguments, members, I'm going to ask for a no vote, because I think passing one more law to do something that already exists in law is not going to help the situation. It's a false promise. It's a false hope for those who are asking for this legislation. We need to tell them how to solve the problem, not pass another law and then walk away from it. I ask for a no vote.
Representative Kagan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this law is really worth passing. The fact of the matter is that what this law does is it entitles a cemetery lot owner to be on the board of directors of the cemetery in which where their loved one is interred. And this is a crucial element of accountability for these cemeteries, which under current law, as currently constituted, are not fulfilling their duties to the cemetery lot owners. Let's pass this bill that will put a cemetery lot owner on the board of the cemetery, and then we'll, for the first time, have some genuine accountability for the people, for the benefit of the folks who have invested their trust in the cemeteries across the state. Thank you.
Representative Waller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, but the problem here is, Representative Kagan, it does more than that. It does more than just simply put one of these people, a lot owner, on the